Let's talk about future world events. There's two things kind of looming on our horizon that worry me, and one is the international community is going to warm up to the fact that the United States blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. If it wasn't us, it was someone in NATO acting on our behalf. And this is in a large part why the Chinese are going to give lethal military aid, probably up to and including fucking fighters and missiles and shit like that, to Russia. Like, we're going to see Chinese hardware hitting the battlefield in Russia in the next year. And the Chinese hardware is much, much better than the Russian shit at this point. The Russians probably have better missile technology and better planes, but the Chinese have better everything else. And, Russia's kind of been in a place for a long time to not put money into R&D of shit. And, like, imagine, like, just how much a couple of fucking crates of Chinese, not crates, like, shipping containers, I guess, of Chinese, like, electronic optical shit, like night vision, red dots, flashlights, that sort of shit. Like, I've seen the stuff that they make in Russia. There's a reason why the Russians are buying shit on the fucking civilian market. My thought is that a lot of our civilian market gun shit in the U.S. now, or even night vision shit now, is starting to be made in China. And it's, that stuff isn't as worrying as the other systems the Chinese could provide them with. That basically, it's not that they're particularly good or capable, it's that they have a billion of them. Shitty drones and, whatever else, missiles. Really, missiles and drones are the things that they need. I think that's really the future of a lot of modern conflict is, drone and missile warfare, however the fuck that looks. But at some level, there is a churn somewhere on a front line of this that is World War One, essentially. You have guys camping across the hill from each other, shooting at each other. That's going on right now somewhere in Ukraine. Guaranteed. And, the U.S. sending tanks and Germany sending tanks and all of this shit, it's drawing us into a much larger conflict. I think the war in Ukraine is here to stay. And honestly, it seems like the idea is we're going to have a proxy war between China and America through Russia. Because, China really wants to go take Taiwan, and they might do that to open up a second front in this bitch. Like, this is some of the stuff that's on the game board, and this is why, like, in the future, this conflict will be known as World War III. The second that China fucking starts a military conflict in the East, this becomes World War III. And non-nuclear at that, which is, I don't think anybody ever fucking predicted non-nuclear World War III. And the thing is, non-nuclear World War III will be non-nuclear World War III until somebody starts to lose. However, you do have the advantage that the Russians and the Chinese are basically playing on soil that they want. They don't want it irradiated. That's good for you. This is in a large portion, I think, why we haven't seen anything done yet in Ukraine. Ukraine's too valuable to nuke. It's a breadbasket. You wouldn't nuke Kansas either. Like, it's, from a military perspective, that would be one of the last things that you would want to nuke because you'd rather control it and get the money off of the food. And, like, this is one thing where, like, Russia might be hip to nuke Kansas, But Russia's not going to be hip to nuke Russian Kansas, which is essentially what Ukraine is. That's why their flag is the color it is. It's the same reason that the Kansas flag is blue and gold and whatever. It's about wheat in the sky and shit. I'm not sure how long this stays non-nuclear. I kind of think that the Chinese are going to start using tactical nukes on us in Southeast Asia, like in the naval battles, sooner rather than later. That's going to happen. And I think the Russians have a bunch of shit that's basically designed to take out all of our surface fleet. You know, everyone talks about that fucking giant nuclear torpedo thing, about it, causing tsunamis and taking out New York City. Maybe. What it definitely could do is it's as big as the Tsar Bomba or something like that, if I remember, bigger. It takes out a big enough chunk of the ocean that it doesn't need to get particularly close to an aircraft carrier to hit it. That's the worry, in my opinion, of that thing. And our carriers are our defense net around the globe. Like, the thing that allows us to wage war around the planet nonstop 24/7 is the fact that we have, 21 surface carriers, and everyone else in the world together doesn't have that many. Like, Russia has one. China has one or two. All of the other countries that have major surface fleets besides us don't have that many aircraft carriers, and the ones that even have a few of them are like Japan and sorry, not Japan. Japan doesn't have aircraft carriers. It's like England and France and shit. And like, those countries are not ever going to go to war with the United States. And like, the reason I said Japan is Japan has a major surface fleet presence, but it doesn't have fucking carriers. They will soon. Like, this is half of the thing that, like, we've freed up the Japanese, and I'm curious to see how that goes down, because really, the Japanese traditionally were enemies of the Russians and the Chinese, and Americans are enemies of the Russians and the Chinese. Now Germany finds itself the enemy of Russia and the Chinese. We're not joining a particularly good group of countries, I guess. But then again, like, Russia and China aren't particularly good countries either. They're fucking... I don't know. I think China isn't communist anymore. I think China is a fascist state. It's akin to Nazi Germany. I think the United States is Nazi Germany light, like it always has been, and some of our politicians here would love to bring China to America so that they have their fucking Nazi wonder dream. They see people getting welded into their apartments and shit and just, fucking jizz all over themselves. I also saw a deep fake of Biden saying that they were going to start selective service. Shit like that, not that video in particular, but shit like it done by China or Russia could be used to spin all sorts of shit. They can use deepfake now to make them say whatever they want them to say. Now, this is some of the... Is that dude even alive still? Are we watching a film? I think some of that a lot. I also think it looks like we're reliving the Ford era a lot because he falls downstairs a lot. Actually, he falls upstairs, which is worse, I think. It's one thing to fall downstairs. It's another thing to trip over yourself just walking up them. Well, anyway, I hope someone has gotten something out of this. I don't know what our future holds, but it seems that we are on a collision course for World War III, and there's nothing that can stop it. And this is where, I'm trying to square away some of my own preps or whatever, but I'm also taking a bunch of money and blowing it on fucking pocket knives and, going out to eat. The reason that I'm doing that is we're all gonna fucking die. If you wonder why you haven't been seeing many videos from me lately, this is what I really think. I really think that the world is ending. Like fire and brimstone shit. Like Putin's gonna get fed up with this eventually and he's gonna nuke us. And I don't know how much of us he's gonna nuke. And I don't know what the world looks like after a limited nuclear exchange. So, go buy an extra joint. Buy a pocket knife you don't need. Spend some time with someone you love. Hold the cat. You know, start saying goodbye. This place is ending. That's my opinion. This is, I find it difficult to make videos now because this is my opinion. So I'm going to make a thing on preps and then a thing on pocket knives. But know that this video, this is where my head is at pretty much. This is why I'm buying high-end pocket knives. I'll see you guys later.